Okay, thank you. So we were discussing about the water soluble vitamins. In the water soluble vitamins, we discuss about the vitamin B1. Okay. We started with the vitamin B1. B1 is basically known as the thiamine, and it's basically um, a water soluble vitamin, and the deficiency of vitamin B1 causes the beriberi. The sources are basically these, the animal and the plant sources are there, and its function is basically it helps in the metabolism and in the synthesis of the carbohydrates, and it has mainly uh, effect on the GIT nervous system and the cardiovascular system, as we discussed in the earlier class. And these are the sources, and basically the disease which is caused due to the deficiency of vitamin B1 thiamine is beriberi. Okay. So beriberi, it means I can't sort of it's a nervous disorder in which the person have the mental depression, moodiness, irritability, forgetfulness, confusion, fear. Now the next vitamin is the vitamin B2, that which is known as the riboflavin, and it is one of the B vitamins. Is basically naturally present in the foods basically, and it is more a heat stable basically factor, uh, and discovered after the thiamine, after the B1. That's why its name is given as the B2. And it is okay, it is isolated from the yeast by the two scientists, the Wauber and Christian, in and Kuhn and co-workers synthesized it in the 1935. So the formerly this vitamin B2 is also known as now it's vitamin G, and riboflavin is derived from its chemical nature basically. It is in Latin, the flavors means the yellow, and it is basically the yellow and the green pigment. So, and also contain the ribose, the sugar element, the flavin and ribose. So that's why the name is riboflavin. It is basically um less soluble than the thiamine in water, and it's more stable to heat. Okay. So when in solution, riboflavin is destroyed on exposure to sunlight. So in like it is present in the milk, so prolonged exposure of milk to the direct sunlight, what happens, it may decrease the riboflavin content of the milk considerably. Okay. So the major role of the riboflavin is basically in the function in the it act as a coenzyme in both energy production and tissue protein building. So it act as a plays a major role in the energy production. Okay. So also in the cellular function, in the tissue protein building, in the growth, in the development, and also in the metabolism of the fat. So it does essential for the tissue health and growth of the animal, and also in the plant life, because it includes some microorganism also. So it has a also role in the cellular function in the integrity of the mucocutaneous structures. Okay. So what are the sources? So sources is basically milk, mainly is a very rich source of riboflavin is milk. Okay. And also milk and its products also, like the yogurt, curd, buttermilk, milk powder, concentrated milk. But there is no riboflavin in the butter and the ghee. Besides, these are also the milk products, but the butter and ghee does not contain the riboflavin, because these are the fat soluble products. They contain fat. That's why the riboflavin is not present in the butter and the ghee. Okay. So the when the remains in the water extract during the removal of the butter from the milk or the curds, na, so they don't contain the riboflavin. And the other sources are the liver and the kidney of the animals and the birds. They are also the good sources. In the vegetables, pulses, green leafy vegetables, cereals, roots, fruits, these are the poor one. And pulses, green leafy vegetables are a good sources of riboflavin. Egg and meat also contain the fair amount. The poor sources are the cereals, roots, and the fruits. So basically, the main function of riboflavin is the in the energy production. So what will happen in the deficiency of riboflavin? So riboflavin is basically involved in the production of the energy, that is in the form of the ATP from carbohydrate, protein, and fats. So breakdowns of the macronutrients happens, and they produce the energy. So vitamin B2 helps in that breakdown, that is help in the production of energy. So what will happen? So in case of the deficiency, the person feels the lack of energy also, and the symptoms may be like the it affects our eyes, skin, and nerves mainly. So eyelids become what? Rough, dry. Okay, so lips also become dry. The cracks at the corners of the mouth, sore throat, eyes also become sensitive to the bright sunlight. That is condition known as a photophobia. Photo is a light and phobia is a fear. So that is a fear of light. So eyes become sensitive to the light. Skin changes like the round of the corners. I told you the cracks at the corners of the mouth. Lips, they become red or they become cracked. Tongue and nose also. So lips become inflamed, cracks, and observe, or like the corners of the mouth also cracked. Tongue is swollen, red, sore. So the clinical condition of all these symptoms known as the chiliosis. Angular stomatitis. Angular stomatitis is the corners of the mouth actually becomes um, uh, red and the swollen, or there are the cracks. Nasolabial dyspepsia, the folds around your nose, there also becomes cracks and soreness is there. Scrotal dermatitis, the skin of the scrotum get also got inflamed. Inflammation is there. The deficiency can be corrected by administering riboflavin. The right amount of dose given, the of riboflavin given to the person, then we may solve this condition. Next is vitamin B3. Vitamin B3 is also known as a niacin. This is the next water soluble B vitamin B3, and basically its generic name is a nicotinic acid, nicotinamide also. And its good sources of niacin are the meat, fish, poultry, also the cereals, pulses, nuts, oil seeds. So one thing is there is actually niacin is can be formed in the body from an amino acids called tryptophan. Tryptophan is basically it's a amino acid which helps in formation of niacin. So milk is a good example of milk is basically rich in tryptophan but not in niacin. So tryptophan is converted into niacin. So the tryptophan present in the milk protein can be converted to niacin in the body. So milk provides appreciable amount of niacin. Okay. So niacin is also part of coenzymes which helps in basically the energy formation in our body by the metabolism in the for metabolism in the synthesis of the energy, basically the digestion of the carbohydrate, fat, and protein. so help in the metabolism in our body. So function is basically it act as a coenzymes NAD and NADP, nicotinic acid and nicotinamide acid. Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide is the full name, and it's a phosphate. This one NADP phosphate derivative is they both act as a coenzyme and help in the metabolism, or you can say so in the energy formation in our body. So it has also close association with the riboflavin and thymine because it helps in the metabolism in the production of energy, thus also help in the growth of our body. So the sources, the plant sources are basically food in the, especially the mainly are the groundnuts. Also nuts, legumes, grains, these are also good sources of the niacin. In animal sources, liver and organ meat, they are it's a rich source. Other sources are the also there, which are the poultry, beef, fish. They're also the sources of the animal food, but the rich one is the liver and organ meat. So both groundnuts and liver uh, are the source of niacin, and cereals, which are used as a staples, also the major source of niacin in Indian diet, and they supplemented by the pulses and meat, then they become the rich source. So unrefined parboiled cereals retain more niacin than the refined one. So that's why we used mainly the unpolished um, food stuffs in our lifestyle. So the food sources which have a very small amount of niacin are the milk, egg, also some vegetables and fruits. So brewer's yeast is a very concentrated source of niacin, and sometimes this yeast added in some recipes uh, to reach our diet in that particular vitamin. So now there is a, okay, there's no mention of the list. So what will happen in the deficiency of niacin? So lack of niacin basically affects which part of our body? The skin and also the system of the GIT and the nervous system. So the in the skin, the which are the exposed part of our body, exposed to the sun, they got skin rashes like the itching and the burning, and other symptoms are basically there is a lack of appetite in the early stages, and later on maybe diarrhea is there. Some symptoms are also there, like the mental confusion, muscle weakness, feeling dizziness, insomnia, irritability, forgetfulness, and later on they may develop the condition of the dementia, sort of the forgetfulness. So deficiency disease of this niacin is known as the pellagra. And in the pellagra, we have the 3 Ds basically. This pellagra is characterized by the 3 Ds. It's not mentioning here. The 3 Ds are the dementia. It's a nervous, it's a dementia. Then the diarrhea, and then the skin problem, that is itching and burning, is the dermatitis. So, and if untreated, it result into the death. So pellagra is characterized into the 3 Ds. I think so. In next slide, it may mention. No, it's not here. So you can note it down. The 3 Ds, the pellagra, which characterized by the dementia, diarrhea, dermatitis. Dementia, diarrhea, and dermatitis. And untreated, if pellagra is untreated, it may result into the death of the person. Okay, so these are the RDAs, the recommended dietary allowances of B1, B2, and B3, matlab thymine, riboflavin, nicotinic acid. It's 0.5 milligram in 1000 kilocalories. So this is the recommended diet allowance. Next, we are moving towards the vitamin B5, which is known as the pantothenic acid. It's also a water soluble B complex vitamin, and yeah, and it is very important vitamin for human life because it helps in the manufacturing of blood cells and also convert our food into the energy, like just like previously three vitamins. And B5 is one of the eight B vitamins. Okay, and this all vitamins basically convert the protein, carbohydrate, and fat into the energy. And this vitamin also helps to help in the production of the energy. So B vitamins, they are also needed for our skin, hair, eyes, also the proper functioning of the nervous system, liver, our GIT, gastrointestinal tract, making of the blood cells. Blood cells actually contain the hemoglobin. Hemoglobin actually carry the oxygen throughout the body. And the next function is the making sex and stress related hormones in the adrenal glands, which is also very necessary for the homeostasis of our body. So what are the sources of vitamin B5? So almost all plant and animal based foods contain in some amount of this B5. And the most vegetables which include B5 are the broccoli, the cabbage family, the sweet potatoes, white potatoes, whole grain cereals. These are the sources of the mainly sources of the B5. But some dietary sources also contain, and animal sources are also there, which contain this pantothenic acid, means vitamin B5. So yeah, in addition, have a role in the breakdown of the fat and carbohydrate for energy. It has a role in the manufacturing of the red blood cells, and also the hormonal or the sex and the stress related hormones from the adrenal glands. It plays a very important roles in manufacturing of the hormones also. Okay, so also vitamin B5 helps in maintaining a healthy digestive tract, and it also helps the body use other vitamins. It helps the utilizing of vitamin B2, also riboflavin, and that's why this is B5 is known as the anti-stress vitamin because of the production of the stress related hormone in the body. So what will happen in case of if we have the deficiency of this vitamin? So deficiencies are actually very rare, but it is very rare to have a vitamin B5 deficiency, especially in the in United States. They have this study regarding that country. So generally, only people who are malnourished will have a B5 deficiency. Okay, according to a Mayo Clinic, the deficiencies are likely to cause any medical problems, and they have some symptoms like the headache, fatigueness, irritability, impaired muscle coordination, GIT problems, so nausea, muscle cramps. All these are the symptoms which happen due to the deficiency, but deficiency is very rare. They have sleep disturbances also, hypoglycemia, like these are the symptoms, but there is no report of any as such major problems due to the deficiency of vitamin B5. Now, next is the vitamin B6, which is known as a pyridoxine. It is also a water soluble vitamin, and it has actually six different type of compounds. That's why the name is known as a vitamin B6. So it has a three naturally occurring pyridine derivatives basically. That's why it's known as the B6. Okay. So the function is, it act as a coenzyme in the metabolism of amino acids. So in the synthesis of protein, you can say so. It is also believed to have a role in the formation of antibiotics. The sources are found in variety of foods. The richest source basically include high protein foods because it helps in the metabolism of amino acids. So beef, poultry, fish, eggs, some vegetables, and fruits. Basically, the vegetables and fruits are the poor sources. So other sources are basically wheat, the whole grains. They also contain some amount of B6. So uh, requirement, okay. So there is some evidence that the pyridoxine requirement may be related to the protein intake because of the in the synthesis of metabolism of amino acid. So the average requirement is basically 1.5 milligram per day. So cooking, basically the our cooking methods loses the this vitamin, and we have a negligible basically. So hence no allowances for doses need to be made. Just a sec, just a sec. So deficiency is also very rare. So the symptoms which are related detected in the vitamin B deficiency are the uh, some peripheral neuritis, the nervous problem, basically the nerves which are at our peripheries, they have some improper functioning of the neurotransmitters. That's why this problem occurs. Then the anemia, glossitis is basically our mouth sores are there, chiliosis, seborrheic dermatitis, the skin problem are there, skin disorders are there. These are related to like other vitamin B deficiencies. These are also happen. So pyridoxine deficiency in India is basically a very rare because our cooking methods are like this. So we don't have so much loss of vitamin uh, B6 in our uh, food basically. Next is our B9. B9 is very important. B9 is also known as folic acid. It is also a water soluble, and formerly it is known as a folacin, and its common name folic acid is very renowned comparative to the B9. So the term folate, folic acid are usually oftenly used instead of vitamin B9. So it is very famous as a pregnancy vitamin also because it's widely used in during the pregnancy time, and it has very ability to prevent the baby from the developing birth defects. It actually is very beneficial during that fetal development. So folic acid is and the related compounds discovered in 1941 and as a basically growth factor for bacteria. Then its name was derived from the folium, which means leaf. So because it is first isolated from the spinach leaves, That's why the name is given as a folic acid. Okay. Folic acid is terol monoglutamic acid. So it is quite soluble in slightly alkaline or the acid solution, but it is very stable in the neutral or the alkaline solutions, and especially in the absence of air. So the function of folic acid is in this transfer of single carbon in the synthesis of number of the metabolites in body. So it helps in the, it is basically major function in the synthesis of the nucleic acid. Nucleic acid has a very good role in the formation of the genes, DNA, RNA. That's is a very important function there, and it along with vitamin B12, it helps in synthesis of nucleic acid, and also it undergoes a series of the metabolic conversions of various coenzymes formed after its absorption. So during pregnancy, it has a very important role, and the sources are the green leafy vegetable, basically the spinach. It's widely present in foods including vegetables, that especially the dark leafy vegetables, in some fruits, fruit juices, and also in the legumes, liver, yeast. These are the rich source of the folic acid. But the it is actually uh, uh, during the cooking, it loses can be high as a 50%, especially if cooking water is discarded. Like if you are making some vegetables, if you are boil like leaves, and then you discard that the water, so that this vitamin dissolved in the water, and it gets destroyed from that particular food item. So try to adopt that cooking method which prevent all the loss of these vitamins. So the daily intake is should be would be, it's safe is 100 microgram per day for adults, and adolescents with 25 microgram, in infancy increases to 40 micrograms, and at preschool stage then it should be gradually increasing to the 100 microgram for the uh, at the adolescence. So these are the doses, and the deficiency, the lack of this folic acid causes basically the neural tube development, incomplete neural tube development. So the it may result in the conditions of the spina bifida, like complications to the fetus, and also because in change in DNA is also there, so it may gives rise to some um, problems also, which may affect to the development of the cells, to the lining of the intestines, that may cause the absorption. Then the white cell development also impaired, which, and then it also have a abnormal formation of the red blood cells, which causes megaloblastic anemia. Okay, so this insufficient intake of folate can lead to anemia, which is known as the megaloblastic anemia, and it responds to the, okay, next vitamin is vitamin B12, which is known as a cyanocobalamin. This is the last vitamin, water soluble of the B complex group, and it is also known as the antipernicious anemia. So it causes the pernicious anemia. So B6 causes megaloblastic anemia. Sorry, this one, B9. B9 causes megaloblastic anemia, and B12 called pernicious anemia. Okay, so it is a unique vitamin basically, as it is synthesized by only microorganisms and not by any animal and the plant. This is the last vitamin to be discovered. Okay, so vitamin B12 is basically needed to form the red blood cells and DNA, and it has a very also key player in the development of the brain and the nerve cells. So the foods of animal origin are the only sources of the vitamin B12. The rich sources are the liver, kidney, milk, curd, eggs, fish, pork, chicken. So curd is actually or milk we can say so better sources because there is a synthesis of B12 by the lactobacillus bacillus, but the bacteria which are present in the curd, and they are basically synthesized in our intestine also. That's why, but plants cannot synthesize. So B12 is never found in plant foods. Okay. So B12 deficiency is caused either due to the impaired absorption or decrease intake of the vitamin B12, and because they are naturally present in the animal products. So so the persons who are vegetarians or on the vegan diet, basically they need to consume the fortified foods or to daily in some supplements to avoid the deficiency. But if they have a good gut health, so our intestine, the bacteria present in our intestine, they are known as a good bacteria. They manufacture. So it's if a person has a good health, so those bacteria also help in the synthesis of this vitamin, and the person also does not suffer from that particular vitamin. But the okay. So the function in the normal growth and the development in the, it helps in the actually with the nerve damage, and treats pernicious anemia, and it's is essential components of the several coenzymes which help in the synthesis of the nucleic acids. So its metabolism and use in the body is basically closely related to the folic acid. The normal functioning of the cell, especially of the bone marrow, nervous system, GIT, it has a very main role in that. So the sources I told you, and deficiency is basically the disease which is occurred due to the deficiency of vitamin B12 is a pernicious anemia. And pernicious anemia may lead to the decreased energy in the body. And it also may give rise to some neurological problems and some deficiencies may give rise to the symptoms like the sore tongue, weakness is there, loss of weight, tingling of extremities, like there's a tingling sensation in your limbs, apathy, mental, other nervous abnormalities are there. So where there is a lack of the intrinsic factor, some essential for the absorption of the vitamin, pernicious anemia results. So in which there is a degeneration of the spinal cord. So that's why some nervous problem may there, and the low level of vitamin B12, it's actually uh, what happens is the inability to the new RBC development, which result in later on the megaloblastic anemia, and which can be cured by the injecting B12 intramuscularly. So these are the vitamin B complex group we discussed. The next water soluble vitamin is vitamin C, which is known as the ascorbic acid. And unlike most animals are unable to synthesize vitamin C, so it is a very essential dietary component. It has a very important role in the human health and disease because it is present in the fresh foods basically. So it is also known as a fresh food vitamin. In the fresh vegetables and foods are the sources of vitamin C, especially the guava, amla, papaya, green leafy vegetables, tomato, green chilies, capsicum. These are the excellent sources of vitamin C. Nowadays, in this winter season, all these vegetables are in the market in the abundant quantity, so you can take a good amount of vitamin C. So root vegetables like the potato, sweet potato also contain the small amount, and they have also contributed significant amount when in consumed with the large quantities. So cereals and pulses are the poor sources, but uh, our cooking methods like the sprouted and the fermented, when they are sprouted and fermented, they contain that they have ability to convert into the vitamin C. Animal foods like the fish, meat, milk, poultry, eggs does not contain, or they have a very little bit of the ascorbic acid. So they are the fresh, they have the maximum vitamin C, the fresh vegetables and fruits. Amla, which is also known as nelikai, is the Indian gooseberry, is a very richest sources of the ascorbic acid, which contains 600 milligram in 100 gram of a food. Other example are the guava, cashew nuts. They also contain citrus fruits. Also have the good sources: oranges, sweet lime, grapefruit, pomelo. These are the excellent sources. Drumstick also have a high ascorbic acid content. In Hindi, if you know, these are the sehejan ki fali. Drumsticks we use in the sambar basically. So leafy vegetables such as the drumstick leaves also, amaranth, cabbage, these are also frequently available in the market, are the richest sources of the vitamin C. So the sprouted pulses like the kala chana or the Bengal gram, the green gram, the cholia, these are also um, have a very proved to be a very valuable during the drought or the feminine conditions, and they are also the good sources of the ascorbic acids, like when the fresh fruits and vegetables are not available. So these are the quantity of the vitamin C present in these type of the food sources. It's a list. So function is basically the vitamin C help in the healing of wound. It helps in the absorption of iron also. If you are taking iron with vitamin C or something like this, or with the juice, the absorption of iron, it becomes more comparatively to normal water. Yeah. So this is a basically a mineral which plays a role in the blood formation. Which mineral? Iron. So it also helps to overcome condition of the injury, infection, and other stresses. So it prevents the destruction of the certain substance present in the body, as well in the some food stuffs. So it is what happens in case of the deficiency. Yeah, it's as a function of the wound healing, because it helps in the formation of the collagen where it forms at the site of the injury, so that the uh, sticking of the connective tissue more, if we have a vitamin C helps in that formation of the collagen at the site of the injury, and also help in repairing of the blood vessels or the other tissues to make them firm. So deficiency may result in the fragile blood vessels, and then blood vessels easily rupture and the bleeding is there. So it has a main function in the wound healing. Then also vitamin C helps in the stress, in to deal with the stress. Actually, it helps in the release of the two hormones from the adrenal glands, the epinephrine and the norepinephrine. Those are also helps in the to deal us in the stressful conditions. So it helps in dealing the stress also in the absorption of the iron, because iron absorption is more in the present of the vitamin C, and it also protects certain substance from destruction like vitamin E, vitamin A. They are also more absorption is there in presence of this. They help in the absorption of these vitamins. So the diet, recommended diet is basically 20 to 40 milligram of the for the children, and it's almost a double 40 milligram for an adult. And for a nursing mother, it should be up to 80 milligram. So vitamin C is very much important. And what will happen in case of the deficiency? If the deficiency of vitamin C is there, so we got swollen gums and fatigueness is there. And if left untreated, the problem of the scurvy may develop, which is basically scurvy causing a degeneration of the skin, teeth, and also the blood vessels because of the low collagen production. So the symptoms of the scurvy are the basically the bleeding gums, impaired wound healing, and also the weakness. Okay, and lack of appetite is also there, and skin becomes thick, scaly. So the spongy gums and hemorrhages in the body tissue, these are the important symptoms of the scurvy. So due to the deficiency of vitamin C, mainly the disease scurvy is there. So this is the last water soluble vitamin. So it's a revision of these vitamins. B1, uh, we will discuss about this B complex group first of all. B1 is known as a thiamine vitamin. The sources of the whole grain cereals, pulses, nuts, egg, yolk, meat, and the deficiency is actually result in the berry, and it has a very important role in the carbohydrate metabolism in particular. B2 riboflavin, problem is a riboflavin is, and it present in the green leafy vegetables, milk, egg, organ meats, liver, kidney, and it also helps in the metabolism. Niacin also helps in the metabolism of all these. It's present in the cereals, pulses, milks, nuts, oil seeds. Folic acid, it in the green leafy vegetables, it helps in the formation of the blood cells and the bone marrow. uh, Megaloblastic anemia in the deficiency of folic acid, and in the in the niacin, the deficiency is the pellagra. In folic acid, the deficiency is the megaloblastic anemia. In vitamin B12, the deficiency is the pernicious anemia. In vitamin B12, the sources are the animal foods basically, and it helps in the formation of the normal blood cells in our digestive system, nervous system. And the last is the vitamin C, which is known as ascorbic acid, is present in the fresh fruits and the vegetables. And the disease in the deficiency of vitamin C is basically the scurvy. And the function is helps in the collagen formation, and helps in the wound healing, and also in the absorption of the iron. So these are the water soluble elements. Next, we will discuss the minerals. We will discuss tomorrow. So you have any questions or any doubt, you may ask. Anyone?